Hello everybody, I am the OG Gamer and welcome to the Gamers Den. I'm here with Rogue Assassin. I want to do something a little different because me and him both been playing video games for a considerable amount of time. Recently we've been playing a lot of Warzone and it kind of brought up different ideas, different things about stories of various Call of Duty stories we played because we've played a lot of Call of Duty games over the years. So, in fact, earlier we were talking about with Black Ops, I believe.
Yeah, well, I don't think I've missed a single one. I think I've played every Call of Duty they've released at this point.
So I think we both have because I know I remember playing Call of Duty 4, playing it online like not long after it came out. In fact, I remember my brother being absolutely ecstatic, and in fact, I had a T-shirt, and I don't know where it's at now, but I had a T-shirt that was a Call of Duty 4 T-shirt.
I actually had I didn't get any of the T-shirts or anything for those, but I had a T-shirt and a set of the sunglasses they came out with the little silk bag for Black Ops 2.
Nice.
Which I thought was the coolest thing back then, and now looking
Right.
back, I'm like, okay, the sunglasses look pretty cool, but everything else about that just kind of looked dumb.
Yeah. And I remember I had Black Ops 2 on Steam. I also remember the original Black Ops and Modern Warfare 2 come out around the same time, and I wanted them so bad. I actually asked. I put them on my Christmas wish list because my parents, and even now they do this, but when we were kids especially, every year they'd have us write out a Christmas wish list,
Yeah.
and they would try to get what they could for us, you know. But two of the things I put on there was Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops, which I knew was wishful thinking because my dad was not, nor has he ever been a big video game guy, and my brother and I being big gamers, that just made it worse.
Yeah.
So I was not in any way surprised that year whenever I got, instead of the games, I got posters for Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops, and I was like, well, I mean, you kind of did deliver. I can't say you didn't, because it is in fact Black Ops, and it is in fact Modern Warfare 2. Just not the game.
It's not the game, it's the poster, which I don't know. At that time, they still probably weren't the same price because posters were fairly cheap back.
Oh, yeah.
Several years ago.
I had several posters in my room growing up, but
I think in my old room back at my uncle's, I might still somewhere have the original San Andreas poster that came with the game.
Nice. Oh, see, I remember San Andreas, but no, back to Call of Duty though. I remember playing Black Ops 2 online, which a lot of people hated Black Ops 2, but I think the two most ragged on Call of Duty games that I've ever heard of, at least, was Call of Duty Ghost and Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Because Advanced Warfare, of course, you had the jumping around and the lasers, and it was so much leaning towards Halo, it wasn't even funny.
They were basically just trying to make Call of Duty Halo at that point, which I had fun with it, but ironically I had fun with it with the oldest weapons that have been in a Call of Duty game since the original Call of Duty. And that was the M1 Irons 6-shot revolvers and the blunderbuss.
Oh, God. Yeah. I remember those guns. Let's see. I think the most aggravating one was the freaking laser rifle. I can't tell you how many times I'd be sitting there getting a shot on somebody and immediately just get my head lasered smooth off. Everybody used them.
The worst part about that is I tried using that laser sniper rifle, the one that charged up that everybody just immediately murdered me with.
Right.
And I mean, I'm charging it up and I'm waiting, and this guy's moving around, and finally I pull the trigger, and right as I pull the trigger, he just scoots slightly to the left, and the round misses entirely.
Just no.
And then about that time, his entire team turns around and goes, "Sniper!" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm dead. This is
Yep.
I can't even run away from this."
Well, that's a problem.
I felt like what you keep saying in Modern Warfare. Well, I got their attention. What was step 2?
Yeah. I have their attention. What was step 2? Yeah, we've been playing Warzone a lot recently. We've been doing a lot of sniping. And I think probably my favorite weapon to snipe with on there has been the AX-50. The ACR is good. I used it to begin with. But the AX-50, I can't tell you how many times I literally would just turn, look at someone who's falling with their chute, and just pop, the headshot. And I know they got to be sitting there thinking, that guy's got to be hacking. There's no way.
Which I've used both of those, especially when Warzone first came out, because I gave it a shot. I was wary about it because I was like, oh, now Call of Duty wants to be Fortnite. And I was wrong about that, thank God. They actually leaned a little more toward PUBG when it first came out, which I enjoy anyway, so win-win. But I used both of those, especially they're fairly even in my book, but especially around the time the AMR, which I just unlocked, came out.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody was trying to use the explosive rounds and the thermite rounds, and because they were exciting and they did so much damage, but they have so much bullet drop, and it was funny back in the day to watch people who I guess don't snipe a lot try to use those two kinds of rounds on me, and they're arcing and hitting the building in front of me, and I'm just standing there like, really, guy? Well, here, let me end this fight for you, and just shooting them in the head.
Oh man.
It's like, let me stop you from embarrassing yourself any further because I'm right in front of you. I'm not moving, and you still missed.
Suppose there was a sniper rifle in Modern Warfare 3 that everybody used it. It was mainly used for quickscoping, but it made one hell of a long range too. The Op, I think, is what it was called. I want to say that was what it was.
I don't know.
LW3.
No, they had a different name for it. I forget what they called it. It basically was the Op.
Yeah.
But I think CS Counter Strike had the main rights to be putting the Op in the game back then, so they were just like, well, we'll call it the dadgummit, I don't remember. I used the Walther 2000 back then anyway, so it was compact, it was quick and long range, so I was like, oh, I'll just use this anyways.
I will say with Vanguard, it's cool to see some of the weapons that, of course, a lot of us old school players have been playing since like the original Call of Duty. You know, we recognize those.
Especially the return of like the Thompson and the Bar.
Yeah. I think the one that I really recognized them from was World at War, but which that was mainly because I remember using it on the zombies a lot.
And for me, I know a lot of people absolutely abhor this gun, but as far as sniper rifles go, I remember picking up the Type 99 Arasaka in all the old Call of Duty games, just going, I have stolen your rifle! I shall now kill you with it! And seeing it come back, I'm just like, okay, I need to level this up some because I want to relive the memory of, this is mine!
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think, let's see, what sniper rifle is it that Ryan uses? I think he uses the HDR.
He uses the HDR, and I think lately he's moved into the ZRG 20mm from Cold War. Which I have the ZRG, and I've been leveling it up. I need to actually be able to play Cold War again, so it'll stop soft locking my guns from me. But I also want to try to officially unlock on, I think, Vanguard, the Oberland, or not the Oberland, that's the blueprint I have for it, the Gorenko.
The Gorenko, yes.
Which should be fairly easy since I have the rifle, because it's just get 10 one-shot, one-kill medals with sniper rifles and normal, multiplayer. Which anti-tank rifle in hardcore, which is what I play, should definitely get you a one-shot, one-kill medal if you can hit somebody with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that Rytech, though, that thing's a beast. And it's funny because, I wouldn't have expected, I kind of did expect it, but at the same time, of all the things from the locket behind a quickscope challenge, which is something we really haven't seen, but we haven't really seen before in a Call of Duty game, because ironically, quickscoping wasn't ever meant to be a thing. It just started. I'm not even really sure where it started at. I think the fourth one.
If I remember correctly, it was around the third or fourth game, and it started because back then the maps were still really small, and so sniper battles, unlike, I used to be a big Battlefield fan as well. Unlike Battlefield, you don't have that range to shoot each other at, and to try to have that
right.
I'm better than you at shooting 1,000+ meters fight.
You didn't have like the huge sprawling maps like Caldera or what was that one map from Ghost? I want to say
Stonehenge. It was
Stonehaven. That's what it was.
Stonehaven. Yeah, it was the castle.
Yeah, it's freaking huge. Which is funny because everybody complained about how big that map was, and yet Caldera is probably like 3 or 4 times that size. I mean, granted, when we do Clash, it's just like one section at a time, but which thank God it is, because I don't even want to know how frustrating it would be to try to snipe somebody that's over in like the factory from the power plant.
They're over there just camping, just shooting your whole team down because now you have to get to a point that's spawned where solely their team resides, and you're just like, okay, that's a mile and a half. I'm not gonna hit that, but I'll give it a shot.
You have to sit there like aim your scope way up just to account for the bullet drop.
Which I had to do that in Battlefield too. I got very used to doing that because it got to the point where I'd done nothing but snipe for so long. I was shooting at dots in the distance, and there was one particular shot that sticks in my mind. He had been killing my whole team, and he'd finally shot me. I'd been ignoring him. I was like, okay, you're on the other end of the map. You do you, I'll do me. We won't bother each other. And finally, I just get hit in the head, and it shows him, this little orange dot, because when somebody killed you, it highlighted them orange.
Right.
Way off in the distance. So I turn, and I mark my rifle for 1,000 meters, and I look straight at him. And then I realize he's probably another 100 or 200 meters past that. So I keep pulling the rifle up, and I take a shot. And I'd noticed it would hit short. Pull the rifle up farther, take a shot. It still hit short, and it got to the point I hit right in front of him, and he still didn't move. So I aimed square on him and made sure that line did not move, and then put the scope in the sky, just about, and pulled the trigger, and then watched, because the bullets move so slow in that game, sniper rounds, that you could see them and you could dodge them if you knew what you were doing.
Right.
I just watched this little glowing dot go all the way across the map, and then I see a splatter in the distance, and it says headshot, 1,300 meters, and I'm like, I hit that?
I will say though, it would be kind of cool to do a clash, where it's the whole of Caldera, not just sections. Although I feel like a lot of people would probably wind up either at the airport control tower, or more than likely, a lot of the snipers would wind up on the power plant there in the middle of the map, because it's really high elevated.
Not even exactly the power plant. What I have a feeling would happen would be about what used to happen with Warzone. Is that anybody who wanted to snipe specifically would go and call for not care package, loadout drop. And then they would run immediately to peak at the top of that mountain with that little circular base on it. And they would do their absolute best to kill everybody else up there. And then they'd lay on the edge of it and look down at any other nearby area and just snipe from there.
Right. Which... it amazes me that we haven't actually seen that happen in Battle Royale, because I know you get loadout drops. So, I'm sure there's somebody, some smart aleck with a good sniper loadout like ours, just getting that loadout and trying to sit up there on the power plant. Of course, I don't know how well that'd go for them. A lot of people seem to go to the power plant during Battle Royale, I've noticed.
Which, a lot of people still go to peak as well. The irony of it is, while I was at... Darth Reigns the other day, we were in Battle Royale mode, I died, and I come back in because I somehow won the Gulag. They actually gave me a gun, and I just pulled the trigger and somehow killed the other guy. Which it was a gun I hated too, so I was like, I'm gonna die, not gonna win this fight. Pulled the trigger, got a lucky headshot, I guess, and just got redeployed. And so I airdrop, and it drops me straight above peak, and I notice there's people running around everywhere. Well, at this point, he'd already died in game, so I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to get this over with, so maybe we can go to a different match. I drop in on peak, somehow kill a guy who completely ignores me and tries to climb a ladder to the rooftop. Like, he makes it almost to the roof, dies, and all of his stuff falls down. And as I killed him, I had seen a bullet come from on the rooftop straight past his head. So now I know there's somebody up there. So I grab everything I can and dive square off the side of peak and just parachute as far as I can to get away.
I just imagine you floating away like, cool guys don't look at explosions.
That would have been a better option, but instead I'm parachuting away going, don't look back. If I don't look back, they can't see me. If I don't look back, they can't see me. Pay no attention to the man in the green parachute. He does not mean you harm.
Please don't shoot me in the back of the head.
Yeah, the whole time I'm sitting there jerking the parachute left and right going, dodge, dodge, dodge.
Oh, bob and weave, bob and weave.
I know I'm not on the ground, but I will try.
Oh, God. That's something, I see a lot of that happening in, like, when we do Caldera Clash. I can't tell you how many times I'd pop somebody with that sniper, and it wouldn't be a headshot, so of course it would just break their armor. and you see them do like some kind of jig like I've never even seen before.
Kind of like the guy the other night that I started shooting at him out in the woods, and so he just started jumping and running in circles for about 5 minutes,
Yeah.
which attracted the attention of more than half of our team. They weren't even shooting at him. A lot of them were just sitting there staring like, is this guy having a stroke? Do we need to call somebody? And it got to the point where he finally, I learned his little pattern, and I waited for him to be on the left side of my aim, fired, and about the time the round got there, he'd run right in front of the bullet. So it just clotheslined him into the ground. I was just like, stop. I don't know how much caffeine you've had today, but go take a nap.
Jesus. And then there was, we were all sniping. I think it was Clash. We were on the airplane hangar, I think. And, we, oh, no. I think we were on the theater. Yeah, we were on the theater. We turned around, and there was this guy in the bushes, like kind of in a fence in the corner. And the first person that saw him, I think, was either you or Ryan.
Oh, yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. That
And
was the...
all three of us spotted him, and we all had snipers, and I just know that poor guy looked up, saw us, and immediately was thinking, oh no. Oh no.
That was on an aircraft hangar, but it was on the map. I'm not really fond of that map, although I love that spot. It's the one with all the houses up on the ridge that everybody fights on.
It's the other side of the airstrip.
Yeah, we're right on the edge of it, and there's just this weird village out here. Which Ryan ran over to the edge because he'd seen a dot on the map, and he sees this guy running into this little walled-in area. It's like not even a chain link fence; it's actually a stone fence.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm there with the Rytech, and at this point, I didn't have the thermite rounds; I had the explosive ones unlocked. So I was like, I'm just gonna make sure he doesn't have a good day hiding over there.
Yeah.
Just start firing off rounds, hoping the explosions will chase him out.
We hear the rounds.
This poor man had to have thought World War III was coming down on his head, because the next thing I know, he comes running out the far left side of that fence through the entrance, and all I hear is bang, got him. It's like, oh, okay then.
Yeah, you were firing at him with your Rytech with the explosive rounds. Then you had me and Brian on either side of you, each with I think HDRs, firing off at this guy. I know this poor guy had been having Vietnam flashbacks like we've never even heard of.
If he didn't already have PTSD, he had it now.
I can just imagine, oh God, bang! Oh God!
Because I can imagine, he knew Ryan saw him, because when I got over there, I saw him slide up against the fence. So he's thinking, okay, they're going to start sniping at me, or they're going to wait for me to come out. And then all of a sudden, there's just explosions happening around him.
That's why I love that Rytech so much. It's just so hilarious to watch the reaction when they think, oh, it's a sniper. All of a sudden, explosions. They're like, oh, that's not a regular sniper.
It's just as funny with the thermite rounds now, because even if I miss hitting them in the head, busting their armor, and having it burn them to death, sometimes I'll accidentally hit somebody in the leg, or the foot, or the arm, and if they don't already know that I'm sniping at them, at times it's almost like they go, oh crap, somebody hit me with a thermite. So instead of trying to find me and snipe back at me or shoot back at me, they'll just stand up and take off running. Like they just go full Forrest Gump and just forget that everything else exists and run.
I think a lot of them don't realize that that's an option with the Rytech, or maybe if they do, they don't think that anyone's really going to have it unlocked.
Yeah.
But given the challenge is locked behind, I mean, I could see where someone would be like, oh no, that can't be. I mean, how many people really could have that unlocked?
Which, the hardest part about it, other than the fact that it's a quick scope challenge, which I used to quick scope, but I am very rusty at that now. There's the problem with the fact that Modern Warfare sometimes will not count your progress in a challenge, which happened to me several times while doing that challenge, where I'd get 2 quick scope kills in the match, and I'd check, and it wouldn't count, so I'd get another one, and it would either count then, or I'd have to get a 4th one for it to finally count 2. And the other thing is that there is no quickscope medal or like recognition in Modern Warfare, so you're just doing the thing, hoping you're doing it correctly, because they're not going to tell you. You just have to take a guess and hope they acknowledge it.
Which I don't know if that's just to deter people from doing it, or what, because You would think if they wanted to deter people from doing it, they would just simply make it impossible.
Yeah.
Either A, which they did this, I think, on Black Ops Cold War, make it to where when you go to scope in, it's so slow you can't possibly do it. Or B, just simply make it to where when you go to scope in, it's so wildly inaccurate, you're not going to hit a thing.
Not until you're fully scoped in. Which I think is another thing they somewhat did in Cold War. I have played it, and which obviously I have. I need to keep playing it, but when you go to scope in, I've noticed when it starts bringing up the scope, it will start farther to the right or left of where you're aiming, and it will slowly just zoom towards the center as you bring it in. So it's almost like the scope has to focus in.
Right.
And I actually tried quick scoping on there because I got curious, and I wound up missing by a solid mile.
Right. I mean, I think the best quickscoper, at least for Warzone, if you're going to do that, would probably be the LW3. Because I noticed when you put a foregrip on that, and you put the stifled grip on the actual trigger grip, it is so quick with scoping in, it's not even funny.
It is really quick, but that is a Cold War gun, so I'm not sure how that would work, but I know that as far as the other games go, Modern Warfare's version of the Kar98K has been absolutely every quickscoper's favorite weapon for the longest time.
Which is kind of ironic, because you would think if it's that good at quickscoping, why hadn't it been used in the previous games? I mean, it's been the Kar98 has been a gun in Call of Duty since I think Call of Duty 3.
Yeah.
So, and yet just now it's starting to really shine. I don't know, maybe it's because it wasn't classified as a sniper per se, because like in World at War, those guns like the Kar98, the Springfield, the Ahsoka, they're all non-scoped rifles.
Yeah, and they were sniper rifles, but you didn't get a scope for them back then.
Right, you actually had to earn the scope. And even with the most of Nagant, actually, I think I remember seeing a lot of online gameplay, people just using the most of Nagant with nothing but the iron sight on it.
Because a lot of people just, although even if they played with the gun for a long time, they couldn't be bothered to try to unlock the scope. They were just going to use the gun.
Yeah. With World at War, I never really got to play a whole lot of it online, because by the time I got it and I started actually looking into it, they'd moved on to the next thing. I think at that point, it was Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops. Cause
World at War, I'm trying to remember if Big Red 1 came before or after World at War.
I don't remember. Big Red 1, that was a mobile, wasn't it, though?
No, Big Red 1, Finest Hour, and World at War were 3 of the PS2 Call of Duty.
Okay, because I remember, then this is how I'd always known it. It was Modern Warfare, it was Call of Duty Modern Warfare, it was Call of Duty 4.
Yeah.
Then it was World at War, that was technically 5. Then you had Black Ops, then Modern Warfare 2, and you had Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 3, Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, and I think Infinite Warfare, and then you have World War 2 in there.
Which World War II's got a lot of flack too. I found it kind of fun, but the maps have a lot, and I mean more than I've seen in any other Call of Duty, of spots that people will just sit and camp.
Oh, yes. Yes, I've seen that myself. I actually played online on that with my friend, it was Black Viper was his gamer tag. But his name's Derek. I remember playing with him, and we played split screen, though. Trying to play split screen online is a pain in the... It's just a pain. It really is.
The funny part about that, though, is that even though people camp in that game so much, apparently sniping is so rare in that particular edition of Call of Duty that I had 5 people fail to recognize I was sniping at them, stare straight at me, see the scope click, not realize what was going on.
They're probably in denial.
Because they were capturing the point, and my friend Drew was trying to push onto the point, if I remember correctly. And every time he'd run up there, he'd get blown up by somebody with a shotgun or something like that. It'd just get blown away. So I'm like, okay, well, you run up there, and I just poked out a window and was like, bang, bang, bang. And I'm just sitting here sniping them. And I got the first 2, and the third one turned around, and he's looking straight at me. And I'm like, I'm sitting here expecting a hail of submachine gun fire or something, and nothing ever happened. So I just shoot him in the head and move on to the next guy. who comes running straight at me. He just charges me like he can't kill me from any kind of range. He has to be up against me, so he gets shot. The fifth guy, instead of fighting back, starts running in circles around the point, trying to avoid my gunfire, ducking and dodging behind things like Bugs Bunny.
Wonder if it was the same guy that we had running in a circle on Warzone.
That would be hilarious if it was.
Yeah, maybe they were in denial because I mean, honestly, all of the online gameplay that I remember watching for World at War, you're right. There was hardly ever any sniping. Which, to be fair, the maps really weren't made that well for sniping.
No, World War II. They made a lot of them easy for camping, but even the camping spots are enclosed spaces, so the snipers don't get used much. That's why I basically grabbed. I think it was the Springfield because they have it on there. I just took the scope and everything that it comes with completely off of it and was like, I'm gonna use this like I did in like World at War,
right?
And just run around with it. And so by the time that I made it back to that point in the game where I was actually using the scope again, I had gotten somewhat good at sniping in that game again, and I had run into 2 other snipers the entire time I'd been playing it.
Yeah, I remember playing World War II. Which the funny thing is, and at the time it had just come out that I played it, and the funny thing is how quickly hackers show up, and you would think that these games that are coming out, like we got I think Modern Warfare 2 coming out, which is kind of that's also really confusing. They really need to come up with a better name for that. I feel like that's really confusing because people are gonna be like, oh, I'm playing Modern Warfare 2. And those of us who've been playing for a long time are going to be like, wait, which Modern Warfare 2?
Those of us who remember the original Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3 are going to be like, are you talking about the old one or the new one? I need to know here because it's important.
I mean, the least they could do is like say it's like, well, I guess they can't say remastered either because they did a remastered version of the Modern Warfare games too.
Yeah, because there's Modern Warfare. I think it's Modern Warfare 2 remastered. They have the campaign, and then they have the multiplayer remastered.
Yeah.
I don't have the multiplayer, but I really want to play it again too.
So I think I had the remastered version on my Xbox 360, which also I had the entire Modern Warfare collection for 360. So that begs the question: I wonder, after Modern Warfare 2 drops, are they going to drop a Modern Warfare 3?
I kind of hope so, and honestly, I want them to go back to the style almost of Modern Warfare 3 just for that particular game. Keep the modern way that they're doing the guns and everything if they really want to, but just go back to those style of maps where it was multi-layered and like stuff to hide behind and long sight lines at certain points.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is, and you got to be careful with this, and this goes with any game that you make, but especially Call of Duty games, is that you got to be careful with your map design because you got to make sure there's not any corners where people can just bottleneck. Because if you have a bottleneck anywhere, someone's going to find it and use it for a camping spot, which then people are going to be mad about that. You also got to make sure there's not so many sniping positions that you can't go anywhere in the map without getting your head blown off.
Yeah, that was the worst part about, I think it was Modern Warfare 2 back in the original Modern Warfare 2.
Oh yeah, because the maps were huge.
Oh, not even just that. Do you remember the map that was a field in the middle of like, I think it was Russia, or on the edge of Russia and the Ukraine. That was a nuclear zone, and it's just one wide open field with a lake and a bunch of bushes.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a sniper's paradise.
That's all me and my friends did back then. We'd get on there offline and just shoot each other to death on there.
Which is, I will say, as each game has came out, I've watched more and more advancement, not just in the terms of gameplay or in the graphics, but also in the way that you launch the game, in the way that the game is able to, I'm not even sure how to describe it. Like, I remember Call of Duty 4, I had it on my PC. I had a gaming PC at the time, and I was able to open up 2 different instances and sit there and level my guns up like that using a local server, which I don't know if you could do that now, unless if you had like 2 PS4s. I suppose you could do that by making 2 different PlayStation accounts, 2 different Activision accounts, and then doing it. But it's become more complicated, and I like the fact that they're trying to crack down on that.
Yeah.
Which, granted, I will say that some of those things, like just trying to boost your stats or whatever, it's not really that big of a deal if you're playing casually like we are. But I could see where if you're playing like professional, like in a league or something, I could see where that would definitely become a problem.
I could see where they would definitely see that as well. It obviously is cheating, but they'd see that as cheating and go, "That's not okay because it's giving you an advantage over the other competitors that are, especially in some of these leagues, playing for money."
Well, and the stats themselves, like in terms of like your rank and what you have unlocked, like for attachments, I don't see how that would affect fairness in terms of the actual gameplay. I mean,
Yeah.
it don't matter how many attachments or how many guns you have unlocked. It's about how good you are with the gun, and it's unlocking those things that makes you good with it. You know.
Which, ironically, talking about attachments, I remember we were speaking of like Vanguard and how it's like some of the older World War II Call of Duties, recognizing all these guns. I remember back then when you either just weren't allowed to put an attachment on anything, or you got one, maybe two, and now in Vanguard you get 10 attachment slots. You can put one in everything.
Yeah.
You can come up with the stupidest combinations.
Call of Duty 4 Online, you can only get one attachment on any weapon. It didn't matter which weapon it was. I think the most common thing I see would be the 50 caliber Barrett with a ACOG scope on it. You know, and I can't tell you how many times I got killed by that.
I was one of the people that was guilty of using that. I'm not gonna lie.
But yeah, I would see people use that all the time. Which the funny thing is, and this is something I like that they did, because I think that they recognized this problem from the original Modern Warfare games, is scope glint. You know, that's something that you didn't really see in the older games that I have noticed a lot of in the newer ones, like, you know, like you got in Vanguard and Cold War, Modern Warfare, and of course now Warzone. There's another game I remember playing that had the same thing. I don't remember what it was.
I know they had scope glint. I think it started in Modern Warfare 3. It was definitely in Black Ops 1. I know that for an absolute fact.
Yes, it was. I remember that.
So if it didn't start in 3, it started in Black Ops 1, and it's just been a consistent thing ever since. Because I think it did start in Black Ops 1, because I remember Modern Warfare 3 running around that wide open map with the field, and the thing that made it so hard is we were all, when you picked the sniper class in those older games, it immediately gave you a ghillie suit. So it's 3 to 5 guys in ghillie suits running around a field full of bushes, laying down and shooting each other and trying to figure out where each other are at.
Right. And the scope glint, I think, really kind of evens the playing field for those who aren't necessarily sniping. Like, I can't tell you how many times I'd be sniping and I'd see somebody look up from like the bottom of the map, and they would look right directly at me. And for the longest time, I couldn't figure out why until I looked up at another sniper and I could see the scope glint and it hit me. That's what they're seeing. They're looking up and seeing that scope glint and realizing, oh, I'm about to get pegged. You know.
Yeah. And the funniest part is when they don't. A lot of people choose to fight back or take cover. I've actually seen some people who, I guess, panic so hard at seeing this little shiny thing in the distance that they absolutely turn 180 degrees and just take off running and never come back.
Well, they don't want to turn completely 180 degrees, actually, on that one.
Which that's the thing, is they did, and that's usually how they die, is I see them go, nope, turn right around and start running straight away from me, and I'm like, you're just making it easy.
I say, you don't even have to aim up at that point because the curve's going to go right into them.
Yeah. Just put the crosshair slightly ahead of them and just watch it arc into them.
Face plant. Yeah, and so I think it was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 or 3. I can't tell you how many times I get sniped and have no clue where it came from. Because if you're using a silencer, obviously you don't show up on the radar. And a lot of people would use cold-blooded and dead silent.
Yeah.
So they can't be seen by radar, even if they do happen to fire without a silencer. Your UAV ain't gonna do any good because of cold-blooded.
And the dead silent meant if you accidentally passed them, you were not going to hear them running up behind you to beat you in the back of the head with their rifle. I mean,
right. And the thermal scopes didn't do any good either because, well, they're not picked up on the thermal because of cold-blooded.
That's where I guess I kind of adapted, because so many people in Modern Warfare 3 ran cold-blooded. I ran cold-blooded and dead silent, as
right.
Although ironically running around with a Barrett 50, which I had a habit of hip firing, because I found out that if you just hip fire the Barrett 50 in Modern Warfare 3 enough, it will kill whatever's in front of you by the end of the magazine.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was about the spread. It was just so predictable. It would eventually just decide to kill somebody. But what made it so difficult was if you were using the thermal scope, you would have to look for their shape because the color was going to match. It's almost like fighting the predator.
Yeah.
And when it came down to like actually shooting between each other with normal scopes, a lot of players got really crafty around the time of Modern Warfare 3. So you had people hiding in the piles of the other players' like former dead bodies or in piles of trash where the ghillie suit kind of blended in.
Which actually, that is something I've done with Warzone before, where someone would, I've seen where someone would shoot you and kill you, and I would immediately run over there and drop down and hide in your body.
And they go to come up and gather all my stuff, and then all of a sudden they're getting shot by a dead guy, and they're wondering what's going on.
Right. Which is funny because I can't help but imagine, for one thing, how that would even work if that was in any way realistic. Would I be like wearing your body as a meat suit?
Pretty much.
I mean,
That or just it'd almost be like the I forget what movie it was, but or no, it wasn't a movie. It was actually a game. You get thrown into you get captured by the enemy, and they've been just murdering everybody because of course they're evil, and you get
Right.
thrown into this field of bodies, which they're still firing into to make sure everybody's dead. So you roll underneath two other dead bodies and pull them on top of you. One as a bullet catcher, and two to hide the fact that yes, you're still breathing and looking at them.
right.
And then after all the gunfire stops, you kind of crawl your way out and just go take one of them out. Just go and like hand-to-hand combat kill them and take their gun, and that's what starts the rest of the level.
Right, and I actually have a similar thing in World at War, in Call of Duty World at War with the campaign. I believe I believe the mission's called Vendetta, but you play as the Russian guy Dmitry Petrenko, and
I remember that.
you're under Sergeant Reznov, which is funny because Reznov actually reappears in Black Ops, which is hilarious. Turns out to be a hallucination, but it's still hilarious.
Yeah, that kind of got to me. I didn't understand it the first time that I played through the campaign because I played that campaign multiple times. It was really fun. But about halfway through, when he leaves and never shows back up, I was like, where the heck did Reznov go? Dude just told me what to do and then vanished into the wind. Thanks, boss. What am I going to do now?
Right.
But then I around the second or third playthrough, it kind of clicked, and I'm like, he's not real. I'm insane.
Well, actually, it turns out he was real for the prison break. He was real,
Okay.
but he died during that prison break.
And
But-
so the rest of it is a hallucination.
The rest of it is Alex Mason hallucinating Reznov because he thinks Reznov's been helping him all this time.
Yeah.
When in fact, what it is, and the reason he's hallucinating is because his brain was reprogrammed by the Soviets.
Yeah.
While he was captured, the Soviets brainwashed him and tried to use him to assassinate the president. And in the process of doing so, Reznov snuck in there and put in a little bit of programming of his own, telling
Of
him
course, he knew what to do.
telling him to kill the three gentlemen that were involved in doing that,
Yeah.
which was Kravchenko, Steiner, and I think there was one more. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I know Kravchenko for sure because I remember Black Ops 2. He reappears, and Mason's brainwashing almost takes over
Yeah.
because they're interrogating him, and Mason starts seeing the numbers.
I remember
And-
that from Zombies because it turns into the numbers, Mason. What do they mean? It's
Right.
the first thing you hear loading it up.
Right, and I don't know if you know this, but in the original Black Ops game, you could actually get out of that chair in the main menu.
Yeah, that was actually how you could enter cheat codes for the game, and I think the original way you actually accessed the Dead Ops arcade.
I believe so as well. There was if you hit the triggers, I think it was.
Yeah, you had to tap the triggers and wriggle your way out, and if I'm not mistaken, there was a blacked out arcade machine in front of you, like the screen was black.
I thought it was just a terminal, but I guess it could be an arcade.
It might have been a terminal. It was one or the other, but it didn't have anything on the screen until you ran up and accessed it.
Right, and so I remember putting in the cheats on that. I didn't even know about it until one day I happened to be messing around, and I accidentally tapped the trigger, And at one point, I don't remember how I did it. I had my head down, and I think what it was, I dropped the controller. His head was facing down. I grabbed the controller, and as I did, I grabbed the trigger, and I see his hand wiggle, and I'm like, why does his hand wiggle?
I did about the same thing, except I was turning to go get something to drink, so I set the controller on my bed, and it happens to press the 360 controller's trigger, and I hear the rustle from him
Oh yeah,
hitting against the binds, and I'm like, is that just a thing that happens and I've never noticed? So I pick the controller back up, and I start hitting buttons that I know aren't part of the menu, and when I hit the trigger, he jerks his right arm out and jerks his left arm out and stands up, and I'm like, what did I just find?
like excuse me.
No one told me about this. And I had like 12 friends at the time, being a younger teenager who played Black Ops. And so I was just like, do what?
Yeah.
How has no one told me about this? Did they know?
I remember playing Black Ops Zombies with my friend CJ. I went over to his house I think it was Saturday. Yeah, it was Saturday. I went over there on Saturday, and he had a 360. Of course, I was absolutely excited because I didn't have a 360 at that time. My dad wouldn't let me get one because he didn't want any more game systems in the house, and I already had my computer, which I probably could have gotten Black Ops on, except it had just came out, so I don't think trying to find like a bootleg version would have been very easy. And not only that, but probably not very safe, considering that those new games are usually the most watched.
Yeah.
But I remember playing it on his Xbox with him split screen playing zombies in the theater, and that was so much in the theater, and also in the I think it was Area 5 was what it was called, or just 5. I think it was just called 5.
Oh yeah, the 5. That was one of the DLC maps.
But it had Kennedy and Nixon.
It was supposed to be an area underneath the White House somewhere during this whole zombie apocalypse, and you're right, it's Kennedy, Nixon, Castro, I think.
I believe so, yeah.
And there was a fourth one, but I forget who it is.
I loved all the quips that that Kennedy had. I see America as a thing of beauty, but you beast aren't helping any. Or you go to get a gun and you can't afford it, but I want it.
I always liked the ones from Nixon.
Oh yeah.
You'd be shooting the zombies, just bless my socks.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't shoot straight for laughing half the time, which it only became worse than the normal Black Ops zombies because I wound up you couldn't pick your character obviously, but I almost always wound up playing as I forget what his name was, but the Russian.
Yeah.
And of course, me being me, I ran around with a pistol and a shotgun half the time in zombies, and I had a bad habit of getting into the horde and emptying my ammo out. Obviously, I'd survive it, but afterwards I'd find a zombie and forget I'm out of ammo, and then pull the trigger and just, what? No ammo?
Yeah. I think I don't remember if it was on the Black Ops Zombies or not. I know for a fact it was on. Oh no, it wasn't on Black Ops 1, but it was another DLC map. Because there was Derice.
Oh yeah.
And you had to get these like teleporters going or something, but you played it as what was his name? Richtofen, I think was his name.
Yeah, Richtofen, the German scientist.
Yeah, he's like a German scientist, and then there's like a Russian guy. I don't remember his name exactly, but he was always on about vodka.
Yeah.
Where is vodka?
He was also the one.
There was Dembski.
Dembski.
Dempsey. Dempsey was American though.
Yeah. It was effectively an American, a Russian, a German, and then you had the Japanese character.
Yeah,
no one
samurai.
No one I knew ever understood what he said.
Yeah.
But he was still one of the good characters to play as.
The zombies were just so much fun. Even, and Black Ops 1 Zombies was good, especially the moon map. I remember playing the moon map with my friend Derek, who played it online with his friend Matt, and we had a blast with it. Of course, you only get so far, and you only have 3 people, and of course, the more rounds you play, the tougher the zombies. But we had a system. You know, and that's the thing about zombies that I've come to realize is that you need to have a plan before you ever get into the match. Now, it might take you a bit to form said plan,
Yeah.
but once you figure out a plan, you can actually get pretty far.
Oh,
You know.
that's like Vanguard has zombies now.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't like it, but I decided to play it. I got really bored and was like, I'm just going to play as far as I can. Playing solo offline, I will wind up with 2 legendary guns, maxed out of my favorite ones at the. They have ritual perks you can get. You have to like collect hearts from the bosses and give them over, which is for completing the missions. Because this one is mission based. So you have a centralized area and you go through portals to complete missions and then come back. I wind up with legendary guns, maxed out perks, all the perks bought, ritual perks, and I'll make it all the way to wave 20. And in the middle of wave 20, a massive horde will spawn no matter what mission I'm doing. And I never have enough ammo for it.
I think my favorite zombies map out of all the games that I've played so far was on, I think it was Black Ops 2, and it was it was actually a default map for Black Ops 2. It was a town, I think is what it was called. But I remember I started out in this bar, and of course you had to fight your way out. But we had a specific corner we'd get to, where there was a door, and it was always right there to your right. Mm-hmm. It was upstairs. But we would get there, and on the other side of that door was the Juggernaut soda. And then, which become a problem. Because here's the thing, you could sit there, you could get your double tap root beer, you could get you could go and pack a punch your weapons, but eventually those zombies are going to get so tough that that's not going to do any good. But if you open that door, there goes your good camping spot as well. So, it's a kind of a trade-off. You open the door and get Juggernaut, oh sure, you might survive for a little bit longer, but at the same time, now you just screwed yourself out of the one good spot you had in the map.
Yeah.
Although,
ironically, sometimes the camping in zombies, which eventually I think almost everyone resorts to, depends on what weapons you use. And one of my all-time favorite zombies weapons, especially Pack-a-Punched, was one of the least favorite weapons of the general community, which was the Pack-a-Punched, fully Pack-a-Punched 1911, which gives you the akimbo version that fires grenades called Mustang and Sally.
Yes. That thing. That, and then I think at one point, my friend Derek Pack-a-Punched the RPG.
I did that too.
That was hilarious, because he's like, wait a minute. He's like, I got an RPG. This ain't going to be worth nothing. I stopped and I go, well, Pack-a-Punch it. Maybe let's see what we get when we Pack-a-Punch it. And he goes, might as well. Sticks it in there, gets it back out, and just immediately turns and fires it towards this horde of zombies, which was apparently entirely too close because it killed him in the process.
That would usually wind up being my biggest issue. Is I loved the Mustang and Sally because it fired grenades.
Yeah.
But in the heat of panic, if I get surrounded, I'll forget that it fires grenades. And I'll think, I have dual 1911s in my hands, and then all of a sudden I'm on the ground surrounded by zombies.
Now, I will say the original Zombies on World at War was actually quite the twist. I didn't expect it. When I first played World at War and played the campaign, I was just playing it because I thought, hey, it's going to be a cool World War II campaign, much like all the previous entries in the series.
Yeah.
And then I did that final mission as Dimitri, where I stick the Russian flag on the Reichstag, and all of a sudden it starts showing zombies. I'm like, is this part of the campaign? Are the Nazis come back to life? What?
Am I gonna have to do the entire campaign over again fighting zombies?
Like, I sat there actually for like a solid hour replaying this map, trying to figure out, how do I beat this? What do I do? Getting aggravated, trying to figure out how to beat it, and then finally I'm like, okay, all right, let's just back out. And I backed out, and I see it at the very bottom. It says Nacht der Untoten, which of course translates to Night of the Dead, or not Night of the Undead, rather. It's German.
Yeah.
But I see Nacht der Untoten, and I'm like, so I actually Googled it, and that's whenever I started reading about it and finding out that, it's not actually a legitimate level per se. It's just a little Easter egg that Treyarch added in there, and it actually blew up way more than I ever thought it would because I didn't think it was going to get all that far. I was like, everyone's played a zombie game before, you know?
Yeah. And of course, that I think that was actually part of what started the, especially in the early 2000s or the mid 2000s before around 2005 and 6, the craze of zombie games that continued for about the next 5 or 6 years.
I mean, you had Dead Rising, you had, of course, Left 4 Dead.
Yeah.
You know, Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 are probably the ones that I played the most in terms of zombie games.
As it kept going, it only got more ridiculous because it got to the point where we had there was one I remember that I wanted to play just for the sheer fun of the stupidity of it because it looked like it was hilariously fun to play, called Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah.
And it was this weird, like, shambled together, rocket boosted, just acrobatic zombie fighting game. And I'm like, there's no way this is going to be in any way realistic, but it's going to be so fun bouncing between buildings, rocketing zombies in the face.
Right. Well, you know, I hate to cut things, I say short. It's been 50 minutes now that we've been recording. But I guess we're going to leave this here, and then we might do another one. I don't know. I'm still kind of debating on that one in my head. But hopefully I'll enjoy that. If you do, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell icon. That'll let you know when I upload another video. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.